We have to be attentive to the reality that's around us, be attentive to the movements in our spirit, and from there, try to figure out where God is calling us. I entered the Society of Jesus in 2021. I studied biology. I was pretty far from philosophy, but I really enjoyed in my first year getting into studies. Thomas's class on Ignatian Discernment was a big part of that.
I typically learned about discernment and the way that it affects us personally. I hadn't really ever learned about this idea of discernment being really important for us in our communities, or the way that we make decisions as a religious order. It was really just neat the way that Father Thomas's class interweaved these different areas of spirituality, of history, of discernment, of context, of our mission, of our identity.
The purpose of my course on Ignatian Discernment and Jesuit History is to teach Jesuits in formation how to do discernment in the rough and tumble of the world. And making decisions is a lot more complicated when you're dealing with having to make them with other people, having to make them with other Jesuits, and having to make them in the context of our complicated world. And I said, well, Jesuits have been making decisions like this, trying to use the rules for discernment for centuries, so maybe we can learn better how to do this now if we look at how it's been done in the past. Not just how it's been done well, but also how it's been done very, very badly. So we look at some of the worst discernments in Jesuit history, as well as some of the best, to try to understand the best practices.
Class was structured in a way that Father Thomas would give us a little bit of lecture and maybe some sort of historical context. Maybe he would direct our attention to a particular event or a particular time in Jesuit life and really explain that well. And then the second half of the class was all about engaging, of how we might see similar practices going on today in the light of that lesson or in the light of that historical event, and how we might be able to discern the spirits at work. We got to really engage these different areas of spirituality, of discernment, of history, and also reflect a lot on our own experiences, on our own past experiences as Jesuits, and how these might be kind of related to one another.
Y eso me ha ayudado a discernir con mayor naturalidad, ver cómo todos los componentes de mi vida, todos los aspectos que a veces considero que están como que no claros, me ayudan a descubrir a ese Dios que me invita a seguirle, a acompañarle y por supuesto amarle. Ha sido, verdad, de mucha riqueza para mi formación, porque me ha hecho sentir que estos hombres eran de oración. Estos hermanos nuestros son de oración profunda, lo que me motiva a cultivar de igual manera ese sentido de compañía con Jesús, incluso en esos momentos, lo que me hace moverme a seguir conquistando la esperanza y seguir acompañando a las personas que Dios me encomiende en algún futuro.
One dynamic, at least, that was different about this class from others is the ability for it to connect with pastoral ministry, to the lived experience of my life, my own relationship to my superiors, my own connection with how I'm going to go about a ministry and explain the gospel and preach the gospel. I remember seeing how the Jesuits in these early history lived out obedience, and it was an aspect of being fully transparent before your superiors and being known so that then you can be mission, feeling that responsibility to share that information with them. And seeing the Jesuit saints do that gave me confidence for my own life of how to live out Jesuit obedience better.
Recomiendo a jesuitas en formación que tomen esta clase porque es la oportunidad de reconocer lo valioso que es nuestra historia de la mano de lo rico que es nuestra espiritualidad, la cual nos ayuda a seguir moviéndonos hacia adelante, construyendo una realidad de esperanza, lo cual nos pide Jesús.
The opportunity this course presents to Jesuits in formation is to immerse themselves in our charism in a way that helps them to discern better how we can face the challenges that we have today, how we can grow as better companions of Jesus and servants of the church. It gives me tremendous hope for the future of the Society of Jesus because I get to see these Jesuits very young in their formation who are still figuring out their Jesuit identities, but get to see how immediately engaged they are in trying to make the society better and trying to serve the church and in trying to be good Jesuits. And it's just this incredibly hopeful, privileged position where I get to see Jesuits take hold of their identity and our history and roll with it in ways that should give us tremendous hope for the future of the society.